Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Yashodanandana Raja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Raja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Raja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की। As per our standard superlative practice, I will start with Mangalacharan and then we will take up the verse which is assigned to me for today. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmlitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadavayam Tadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yuta Padkamlam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsta Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagan Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijan Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagan Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sya. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So today's verses are 6 in number and I'm going to recite, and the number 4, 15, 16 which is on the board is the last among those verses. So I will recite first 5 verses by myself and then I leave the last one for repetition. But before that, let's do clarification of Srimad Bhagavatam. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiv narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudire Shrinavatam swakatha Krishna punya shravana kirtana hidayam stoya bhadrani kridnoti satam नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तम श्लोके भक्ति भक्ति नैष्टिकी यत्कीर्तनं यत् श्रवणं यदीक्षणं यद्वन्दनं यत् स्मरणं यदर्हणं लोकस्य सद्यो विध्नोति कल्मषं तस्मै सुभद्रश्रवसे नमो नमः निम्नगानां यथा गंगा देवानाम् अच्युतो यथा वैष्णवानां यथा शंभु पुराणानाम् इदं तथा ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Text 11, chapter number 15, canto number 4. तस्याभिषेक आरब्धो ब्राह्मणैर्ब्रह्मवादिभिः अभिषेक निकान्यस्मै आजर्हु सर्वतो जनः तस्याभिषेक आरब्धो ब्राह्मणैर्ब्रह्मवादिभिः अभिषेक निकान्यस्मै आजर्हु सर्वतो जनः सरित समुद्र गिरिया नाग सरित समुद्र गिरिया नागा गावाः खगा मृगाः यौ क्षति सर्वभूतानि समाजहुर उपायनम सरित समुद्रा गिरिया नागा गावाः खगा मृगाः यौ क्षति सर्वभूतानि समाजहुर उपायनम. Next 13. सोऽभिषिक्तो महाराजा सुवासा साधवलंकृतः पतन्य आतिशलंकृत्या विरजे अग्निरिवापरः। सोऽभिषिक्तो महाराजा सुवासा साधवलंकृतः पतन्य आतिशलंकृत्या विरजे अग्निरिवापरः। Text 14. तस्मै जहार्दन्धो हेमं वीरं वरासनं वरुणा सलिल श्रावम आतपत्रम शशिप्रभम। तस्मै जहार्दन्धो हेमं वीरं वरासनं वरुणा सलिल श्रावम आतपत्रम शशिप्रभम। Text 15. वायुश्चा वालव्यंजने धर्मा कीर्तिम ऐं सृजम इंद्रा किरीटिम उत्कृष्टम दंडम संयमनम यमः। वायुश्च वालव्यंजने धर्मा कीर्तिमयं सृजम इंद्रा किरीटिम उत्कृष्टम दंडम संयमनम मनः। वायुश्च वालव्यंजने धर्मः कीर्तिमयं सृजम वायुश्च वालव्यंजने धर्मः कीर्तिमयं सृजम वायुश्च वालव्यंजने धर्मः कीर्तिमयं सृजम इंद्रा किरीटिम उत्कृष्टम दंडम संयमनम यमः। Now it is the last word which is on the board. I'll repeat it 3 times and then I'll leave it for repetition. Brahma Brahmayam Varma Bharti Haram Uttamam Hari Sudarshanam Chakram Tatpatanya Avyatam Shriyam. Brahma Brahmayam Varam Bharti Haram Uttamam Hari Sudarshanam Chakram Tatpatanya Avyatam Shriyam. Brahma Brahmayam Varma Bharti Haram Uttamam Hari Sudarshanam Chakram Tatpatanya Avyatam Shriyam. Bharti Bharam Uttamam Hari Sudarshanam Chakram Tatpatyam Avyatam Shriyam. Brahma Brahmamayam Varma Bharti Haram Uttamam Hari Sudarshanam Chakram Tatpatanya Avyatam Shriyam. Brahma Brahmayam Varma Bharti Haram Uttamam Hari Sudarshanam Chakram Tatpatanya Avyatam Shriyam. Brahma Brahmayam Varma Bharti Haram Uttamam Hari Sudarshanam Chakram Tatpatanya Avyatam Shriyam. Brahma Brahmayam Varma Bharti Haram Uttamam Hari Sudarshanam Chakram Tatpatanya Avyatam Shriyam. Word-to-word translation. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Word-to-word. Brahma, Lord Brahma. Brahmayam, made of spiritual knowledge. Varam, armor. Bharati, the goddess of learning. Haram, necklace. Uttamam, transcendental. Hari, the supreme personality of Godhead. Sudarshanam Chakram, Sudarshan disc. Tat Patni, his wife, Lakshmi. Avyatam, imperishable. Shriyam, beauty and opulence. Translation. Lord Brahma presented King Prithu with a protective garment made of spiritual knowledge. Bharati, Saraswati, the wife of Brahma, gave him a transcendental necklace. Lord Vishnu presented him with a Sudarshan disc, and Lord Vishnu's wife the goddess of fortune, gave him imperishable opulences. Purport. All the demigods presented various gifts to King Prithu. Hari, an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, known as Upendra, in the heavenly planet, presented the king with a Sudarshan disc. It should be understood that this Sudarshan disc is not exactly the same type of Sudarshan disc used by the personality of Godhead Krishna or Vishnu. Since Maharaja Prithu was a partial representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's power, the Sudarshan disc given to him represented the partial power of the original Darshan disc. I'll also quickly read translation of the previous verses so that we know where we are. In the case of text number 11, the translation reads like that. The learned Brahmanas, who were very attached to the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies, then arranged for the king's coronation. People from all directions collected all the different paraphernalia for the ceremony. Thus, everything was complete. Text 12. All the rivers, seas, hills, mountains, serpents, cows, birds, animals, heavenly planets, the earthly planet, and all other living entities collected various presentations according to their ability to offer the king. Text 13. Thus, the great King Prathu, exquisitely dressed up with garments and ornaments, was coronated and placed on the throne. The king and his wife Archie, who was also exquisitely ornamented, appeared exactly like fire. Text 15. The demigods of air, Vayu, presented King Prathu with two whisk charmers of hair. The king of religion, Dharma, presented him with a flower garland which would expand his fame. The king of heaven, Indra, presented him with a valuable helmet, and the superintendent of death, Yamaraj, presented him with a scepter with which to rule the world. And this is the last verse of today. I have already read the translation, but I'll repeat it again. Lord Brahma presented King Prathu with a protective garment made of spiritual knowledge. Bharti Saraswati, the wife of Brahma, gave him a transcendental necklace. Lord Vishnu presented him with a Sudarshan disc, and the Lord Vishnu's wife, the goddess of fortune, gave him imperishable opulence. Hukum karoti vachalam pangulangaite girim yat kripatam amvande Shri Gurudin Parma. Before we proceed on the purport, let's have a look at the background in which these verses are spoken. As we know, these days we are discussing the descendants of Dhruv Maharaj. In that line came King Anga, who was a saintly king. As against his saintly nature, unfortunately, he got a son who was just opposite to his nature. He was very cruel and merciless. When he succeeded his father, King Vane was his name, when he succeeded his father, he started demonstrating his irreligious and cruel practices, due to which the sages in the kingdom decided to kill him. It is also for the reason that he not only insulted the sages, but he also blasphemed Supreme Personality of Godhead. When he was killed, so there was a natural vacuum in the kingdom, and as a result of the lawlessness, the sages decided that there should be continuity in the family, because it was noted that the descendant of this family are prone to be the devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So therefore, through a unique practice, they first, with great force and through a specific method, they churned the thighs of the king Vane, whom they had killed by using high sound mantras. and his body was being preserved by King Vain's mother. And they took her name was Sunita. They took body of King Vain from Sunita and they churned first the two thighs of the King Vain out of his dead body. And there came a dwarf who originated a tribe called Nishad. This tribe still exists, and they are involved in petty crimes like stealing and gambling, etc. And then the sages churned the two arms of King Vain, and out of that churning, two very beautiful personalities appeared. One was King Prathu, and the other was his wife Achi. Sages were able to make it immediately that King Prathu is a partial representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So a coronation of the King Prathu took place, and in that ceremony came Brahmaji along with all other demigods and made various presentation of gifts to King Prathu. So these 6 verses are more or less giving us an idea of what is being presented. Now, if we look at the purport, there are 2 points which came to my mind on which I would like to make some comment. One is Sudarshan Chakra itself. Lord Hari presented King Prathu Sudarshan Chakra, which was partially empowered because King Prathu was the partial representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So taking the opportunity of this last verse, which is number 16, we will also attempt to offer our obeisances to Sudarshan Chakra. Someone may say that, or someone may raise a question as to why we are worshipping or paying obeisances to Sudarshan Chakra. After all, it is a weapon. So to answer this kind of question, I would say that in the month of Kartik, twice a day, we worship, apart from Supreme Personality of Godhead, Damodar Bhagavan, we also worship rope. And what do we say? Namaste stu dhamne surdhiti dhamine tavo tvododiyara. Namaste stu dhamne surdhiti dhamine tvodiyo dayarat vishwasya dhamne. Namo radhikaye tvadiya priyaye. Namo anant leelaye devaye. What do we say in the translation? Oh Lord, first of all, I offer my obeisances to the brilliantly effulgent rope, your rope, which has bound your belly. And then I offer my obeisances to your belly, which is the abode of the entire universe. And then the third obeisance comes for Radharani. I'm sure the writer of this beautiful song, Damodar Ashtakam, if he visits Vrindavan these days, many Brijvasi will complain. How can you relegate Radharani to third position? You first offering obeisances to rope, then you offering to the belly of the Lord, and then you are offering to Radharani. Radharani should be on the top. First obeisance should be offered to her. This is just this kind of comment is just to relish the pastime. There is no need of making any gradations. So now coming back to worshipping of Sudarshan Chakra. In Srimad Bhagavatam, one personality has worshipped Sudarshan Chakra, and I'm sure we all know who is he. It is Amrish Maharaj. Amrish Maharaj has offered beautiful prayers to Sudarshan Chakra. And now let's also understand the circumstances in which Amrish Maharaj offered obeisances and prayers to Sudarshan Chakra. When, out of indignation, Durvasa Muni, who was a very powerful sage, he attempted to harm or even kill the top devotee of the Supreme Lord, Amrish Maharaj. Lord was upset with this situation. He immediately summoned Sudarshan Chakra and sent him to protect his devotee Amrish Maharaj. And immediately Sudarshan Chakra went there. First, Sudarshan Chakra killed the demon which was created by the matted hairs of Durvasa Muni. And then it also started chasing Durvasa Muni and started giving him unbearable heat, which was very troublesome for Durvasa Muni. The verse there says that wherever Durvasa Muni went, in the hills, in the caves, grounds, air, in the sky, the Sudarshan Chakra was chasing Durvasa Muni and giving him a very high degree of heat. The verse there says that part of the verse I remember, Yatra Yatra Dhavati Tat Tat. Wherever Durvasa Muni ran, the Sudarshan Chakra was chasing him. So then Durvasa Muni went to Brahmaji for protection and getting rid of this terrible heat which was coming from Sudarshan Chakra. Brahmaji immediately shooed him away. No, I can't do anything. It is Sudarshan Chakra of the Lord Hari. So I can't do this. This is out of my jurisdiction. Then, but Brahmaji advised him to go and check with Lord Shiva. Then Durvasa Muni went to Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva also said, I can't do anything. He also shooed him away, but he said that you better go to the possessor of the Sudarshan Chakra, Lord Vishnu. He will be able to help you. Then Durvasa Muni goes again to Durvasa Muni goes to Lord Vishnu. Now Lord Vishnu says that I can't do anything. There, Lord Vishnu uses a verse which is very famous. Most of the devotees know about it. Aham bhakt paradhino hai aswatantra ev dvij sadhu vyast hirdayo bhaktir bhakt jan priyah. Aham bhakt paradhino. Lord says that I am under the control. Paradhino means adhin means control. I am under the control of my devotees. Hai aswatantra ev dvij. I'm certainly not independent. Aswatantra means I am not independent. I can't do anything. Now, Lord himself is saying that I'm not independent. But if we look at the first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, in which Vyasdev is offering obeisances, Janmadhyasya, and in that verse comes a word which is Savrat. Savrat means fully independent. Now, Lord is saying that I'm not independent, but Vyasdev is saying that you are fully independent. And another dimension is added in this connection by Arjun in Bhagavad Gita. In 11th chapter, Arjun says, Na tat samo satya abhyadhiko kutonyo. There is no one who is equal to you or no one to talk of the above you. The full verse is Pitasi lokasya chara charasya tamasya pujyasya guru gariyan natvat samo satya abhyadhiko kutonyo lok traya apratim prabhava. let's once again go back. Amrish, Lord himself says that I'm not independent. I'm under the control of my devotees. Vyasdev ji says you are fully dependent. And Arjun says, and you can control someone if you are above in your position. And Arjun says that there is no one who is equal to you, to Krishna. What to talk of above you? So there is an apparent contradiction. There is a contradiction which is apparent. Actually, there is no contradiction. And it is not only this contradiction, there are some more contradictions in relation to our dear Lord. Another one is, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Samoham sarvbhuteshu name dvesho asti na priya ye bhajante tu mam bhaktya maite teshu chapya. In 9th chapter, he says that I'm equal to everyone. I'm not favorable for everyone. I don't envy anyone. Name dvesho asti na priya. But one who worships me, I favor him. But you just now said that I'm equal to everyone. Again, there is an apparent contradiction. Another contradiction. I'll come back to the point. Our point of discussion is worshipping Sudarshan Chakra. But these are some of the additions. In 3rd chapter Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Devan bhavitanena te devan bhavayantuya parasparam bhavayanta shreya param avapsyam. In a subtle way, Krishna is recommending worship of demigods. But again, in 9th chapter, he says, if you worship demigods, it is avidhi purvatam. It is not proper way. Ye apyanya devta bhakta jadante shuddhanvita tepi mame ponteya yajante avidhi purvatam. We have found another contradiction, apparent contradiction. Even Brahmaji says, what is that one? Navyovanamcha. The first word I'm going to. He also says that Advaitam Achutyam Anadim Anant Rupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navyovanamcha Vedeshu Durlabha Durlabham Ad Bhaktau Govindam Adi Purusham Tam Aham Bhajami. Brahmaji says, you are Adi Purana. You are the oldest. But they also say you are Navyavan. You are youngest. You're 16 years old. So again, there is an apparent contradiction. How do we resolve these contradictions? Again, apparent contradiction. If I missed to say, but I meant apparent. There are apparent contradictions. How do we resolve them? To resolve these kind of contradictions, we have to remember that Lord has many opulences. We have been informed by our superior authorities that on a broader level there are 6 opulences of the Lord, which is from Padam Puran: Aishwarasya Smagarasya Virasya Yasho Shriha Gyan Vairagyas Chaiva Satna, last line I'm forgetting, 6 broad opulences. But according to Bhagavad Gita and according to Lord himself, Krishna has innumerable opulences. In 10th chapter, Krishna says, Hante katishyami divya hayat vibhutteya pradhanataya kuru sreshta naste yanto vistarasya. Hanta. Yes, I am going to tell you, Krishna says to Arjuna, that I have many opulences. Hante katishyami divya hayat vibhutteya. Pradhantya, but I'll tell you only Pradhantya, main one. Naste anto vistarasya mein. There are innumerable opulences. On this verse, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Pad comments, Hant is indicating the compassion factor of the Lord. The Hant word by Srila Prabhupada is translated, and yes, I'll tell you. But Krishna is telling out of compassion that these are my opulences. And on Vibhuttaya also, Chakravarti Pad says that it includes spiritual as well as material opulences. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna, in a conversation with Uddhavji, says that Sankhyanam Paramanunam Kalen Kriyate Maya Nat Tatha Me Vibhutinam Sajtam Nandani Kotisha. Krishna here says that it is possible that I will be able to count the atoms during the course of time. Kalen Kriyate Maya. But as far as my vibhutis are concerned, my opulences are concerned, it is not possible to count. Sajate Nandani Kotisha, which are being generated in millions of universes. Kotisha means, Koti means, we call it crore. Crore is equivalent to 10 million. And there are millions and millions of universes. Nandani, there is universes. In those universes, there are many, many opulences, millions and millions of opulences which are being generated. So when we talk of opulences, so there is one opulences which deals with the contradictions which we have just now talked about. Krishna has one opulence among many millions, as per which Krishna is one personality in which all the contradictions are reconciled harmoniously. He can be big, he can be small. In material sense, it is very hard to understand this kind of contradiction. But Krishna is Lord, and he possesses all opulences. And one such opulences is that all contradiction in Krishna are reconciled harmoniously. They don't oppose each other. So, coming to where we were about the contradiction, we have already looked at. And now we're going to look at the prayers which Amrish Maharaj had offered to Sudarshan Chakra. That's where we started. I have noted a few prayers, and we will also see the similarity between prayer that was offered by Amrish Maharaj and which speak about the qualities of the Sudarshan Chakra, and at the same time the qualities of the Lord, giving similar kind of situations from scriptures like Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam or elsewhere. In the first prayer, Amrish Maharaj says, so, this is from Canto 9, Chapter 4, 3rd verse. Tvam Agnir Bhagwan Suryastvam, Tvam Agnir Bhagwan Suryastvam Somo Jyotisham Pati, Tvam Apamstvam Shitir Vyoma Vayur Matrindriyani Cha. In this verse, Amrish Maharaj is saying, O Sudarshan Chakra, you are fire. You are the most powerful sun. You are the moon, the master of all luminaries. You are water, earth, sky. You are the air. You are the 5 sense objects: sound, touch, form, taste, smell, and you are the sense, and you are the senses also. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself tells Arjuna in 10th chapter, Adityanam aham Vishnu, Jyotirsham Ravi aham Shuman, Marichir Marutamasmi, Nakshatra aham Shashi. What Krishna is saying here, Adityanam aham Vishnu. Among the Adityas, I am the Vishnu. And then Jyotisham, among the luminaries, I am the sun, radiance of the sun. And then among the Maruts, I am Marichi. And among the stars, I am Shashi. Nakshatranam, aham Shashi. So we see the similarity between what Amrish Maharaj is saying and one Lord, and on the other hand, what Lord is saying. We have also heard from many times that Lord and Lord's paraphernalia have no difference. So when we are worshipping Sudarshan Chakra, in a way we are also worshipping the Supreme Lord. And on other part of the translation which I have just read from this first verse, another verse from Bhagavad Gita says from chapter 8, Rasoham apsu konteya prabhasmeshu surya pranava sarve deshu shabdakhe parsham nishu. I'm taste of the water. And Amrish Maharaj also says, you are water. Krishna here says that I am also taste of the water. And I am also the light of the sun. Prabhasmi Shashi Suryo. Prana Sarve Deshu. I am the word Om among all the Vedas. And Shabdakhep, and I am the sound from the ether. And I am the power among the men. And then in another verse, it says that Punyo Gandha Prithviyam Cha Prabha Tejasmi Chasmi Vibhavsu Jivanam Sarvbhuteshu Tapas Chasmi Tapasvishu. So this is again confirming with what is offered by Amrish Maharaj to Sudarshan Chakra. And in the next verse, Amrish Maharaj says, Sudarshan namastubhyam sastar achuta priya sarvastra ghatin vipraya swasti bhuya idaspate. O most favorable of Achyuta, O most favorite of Achyut, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you have thousands of spokes. O Master of Material World, destroyer of all weapons, original vision of the Personality of Godhead, I offer my obeisances unto you. Kindly give shelter and be auspicious to this Brahmana. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself says, Ayudhanam aham vajram, Dhenunam kamadhuk, Rajnasyasmi kandarpa, Sarpanam vasuki. Krishna himself says that among all the weapons, I am Vajra of Indra, which is most powerful. And among cows, I am cow Survi. And President Satvi Kandarpa, Sarpanam Asmi Vasuki. This is in relation to the verse Amrish Maharaj has spoken, that among all the weapons, Sudarshan Chakra is so powerful that it can destroy all the weapons. And then he says that please be favorable to this poor Brahmana. Vipraya Swasti Bhuya Idaspate. Idaspate means you are controller of the material world. And Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, Maya Dekshen Prakriti Suete Sacharacharam Hetunanen Konteya Jagatvi Parivartate. Krishna says that Maya Adhyakshen, under my supervision, all the moving and unmoving created beings are working. And the whole material manifestation is under my control. I'll take the last verse and then I'll change the topic. Last verse is in which Amrish Maharaj is, this is a prayer to the Lord, not to the Sudarshan Chakra. यदि नो भगवान प्रीत एका सर्वगुणाश्रयः सर्वभूतात्म भावेन द्विजो भवतु विज्वरः. If the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is one without second, who is the reservoir of all transcendental qualities, and who is the life and soul of all living entities, is pleased with us, we wish that this Brahmana, Durvasa Muni, be freed from the pain of being burnt. In 7th chapter, Krishna talks about the magnanimous nature of the devotees. Udara sarv evete jnani atme me matam astita sahi yuktatma mamevarantamam gatim. The devotees of the Lord are very magnanimous, very kind-hearted. So in spite of the fact that Durvasa Muni tried to kill Amrish Maharaj, being very kind-hearted, is praying to Lord that this poor Brahmana be spared. And eventually he was spared. Now coming back to that's all I want to talk about Sudarshan Chakra. Sudarshan Chakra ki jai. And now we'll talk about another aspect. In this small purport, there is a mention of incarnations. About King Prathu, Srila Prabhupada, in his book in his book Teaching of Lord Chaitanya, has mentioned that King Prathu, and it is quote from the book, King Prathu is invested with the power for maintaining the living beings. In relation to incarnations, there is information on incarnations in chapter 22, Madhya Leela, as well as Srila Prabhupada's book, Teaching of Lord Chaitanya. There are 6 types of incarnations which have been described by Lord Chaitanya himself. And in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is stated, अवतार है कृष्ण छठ विधा प्रकार, पुरुषावतार लीलावतार, पुरुषावतार एक लीलावतार आर, गुणावतार आर, मनवंतर अवतार, युगावतार आर, शक्तिवेश अवतार. So there are 6 types of avatar, and in the first avatar, in the first category is Purusha avatar. Prathame kare Krishna Purusha avatar, Shai Purush haya Prividha prakar. In the first category, there is a Purusha avatar, which are of 3 categories. That is Mahavishnu, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, and Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. In the case of Mahavishnu, he is Lord of 10 items, like mind, time, false ego, 5 senses, material nature, etc. When he glances over the material nature, it gets agitated, and then Mahavishnu impregnates it with living beings. And when he exhales, innumerable universes come into existence. Then we have Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. He enters into every universe, and from his navel, a stem of lotus flower comes out, and from there, Lord Brahmaji takes birth. And in that stem, the 14 planetary system exist: Atal, Sutal, Vital, Patal, Bhutal, etc. And next is Leela Avatar. Although there is no limit on number of such incarnations, and they appear according to the need of the time, and they include like Matsya, Nrsimha Bhagwan, Varaha Avatar, etc. And let's remember that in spite of the fact that they are equally empowered, but their origin is Lord Krishna, as is confirmed in Brahma Samhita. Deepacharevi Dashantaram Abhupete, Deepacharevi Dashantaram Abhupete, Deepacharevi Virit. Deepacharevi Dashantaram Abhupete, Deepacharevi Virit Hetu Samana Dharma. Deepacharevi Dashantaram Abhupete, Deepayate Vivid Hetu Samana Dharma. Yastadrike Evi Vishnu Taya Vibhati Govindam Adi Purusham Tam Aham Bhajami. So the origin of all the Leela avatars is also Krishna. Then we have Guna avatar. They take the in chargeship of three modes of material nature: mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. They are Lord Vishnu, Brahma, and Lord Shiva. When Lord Shiva is, when there is no candidate for Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu himself assumes the position of in charge of mode of ignorance. In this connection, but we should also understand that there is no qualitative, as far as empowerment is concerned, there is no difference between Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu. Shiram yatha dadhi vikshar vishesh yoga sanjayate hi tatha pritak asti heto yamsham no. Shiram yatha dadhi vikar vishesh yoga sanjayate hi tatha pritak asti heto yam shambhutam tathapi sam karyat govindam adi purusham tam aham bhajami. Yeah, I'm forgetting. Shiram yatha dadhi vikar vishesh yoga sanjayate hi tatha pritak asti heto yam shambhutam api tatha sam upati karyat govindam adi purusham tam aham bhajami. The only difference is that milk produces curd, but curd cannot produce milk. So as far as the nutritious value is concerned, they are both of the same quality. So similarly, Lord Vishnu and Lord Shiva, they have same quality, but still the origin is Lord Vishnu. Then we have Manvantara avatar. Oh, sorry, Guna avatar. Oh, we have already talked about Guna avatar. Then we have Manvantara avatar. In one day of Brahma, 14 Manu are situated. And if we, here also there is no limit to the number of Manvantara avatars. In the life of one Brahma, there are 5,400 thousand incarnations of Manvantara avatar. 14 in one day, in a month 420, in 1 year 4050, and in the whole life of 100 years of Brahma is 5,400,000 Manvantara avatar. And then we have Yuga avatar. They appear in different yugas: Satya Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, and then Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, it is a covered avatar, which is Lord Chaitanya. In the different yugas, there are different ways of worship also. In the Kali Yuga, the way of worship is through chanting of the holy name. And then we have Shakti Vesh avatar. There are various personalities who are empowered for specific purposes, like Vyasdev ji is empowered to write Vedic literature. 4 Kumaras, they are empowered to spread the whole glories of the Lord, and so is the Narad Muni. So these are the Shakti Vesh avatars. And Prathu Maharaj is also one of the Shakti Vesh avatars, as confirmed by Srila Prabhupada in his book, Teaching of Lord Chaitanya, in 8th chapter entitled The Avatars. After knowing all about these avatars, let's also remember the fact that the origin of all these avatars is Krishna. which is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam. Ite chams kala pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan swayam. Indrari vyakulam raugam padagyanti yuge yuge. So, since this purport is very small and it gives only scope of small scope of further discussion, so I'll end it here. And in case anyone has any comment or correction to make, please feel free to do so. Or if you want to ask anything, please. Hare Krishna. Thank you. All good. So there is no questions, so we will end it here. Tatra Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna.